Hi guys, Mr. Matt here. I hope everyone had a happy new year and nice holiday break. I'm going to put together an art project for you guys for the week, and what we're going to work on is drawing eyes, and specifically an owl eye. Owls have like the coolest eyes, very almost spooky, and that's their eyes is what allows them to see much better in the dark than we can, which is when they're active and when they hunt because they are nocturnal. But anyway, we're going to do this in colored pencil, and it's going to be an enlargement. So it's just going to be like the owl's face. You can do two eyes in the beak, kind of a blown up view of the head. My drawing, I'm just going to do one eye. It's really, really cool. So I'm going to stop this and change views, and we'll get right into it. Okay, so I'm going to start with pencil, and I'm just going to kind of sketch in the basic shapes to give me kind of a roadmap for what I'm going to do with the colored pencil. I am looking at an example. I'm looking at one of the photos that's in the Word doc that I sent out to your teachers. So we have here this line that kind of swoops in and up. It's like the eyebrow, kind of. A little bit of feathers that stick down like that. There. And then the eye kind of comes underneath it like this. When you're drawing curves, if you just move your whole arm and keep moving it, and I know it's hard to see these lines because I'm doing them lightly, but we've talked about this. Why is it important to do the lines lightly? Well, you might not get them in the right spot the first time, and they're much harder to erase if they're done really, really dark than if you do them lightly like that. But I can darken it in once I'm kind of sure of it. But anyway, there is the iris, which looks like it kind of comes down and gets closer. This iris is yellow. The owl's iris is yellow in this example. And then the pupil is really, really big. That's the black part. And their pupils are really, really large to allow a lot of light in, which makes them able to see in very low light conditions. There. All right. So what I can do now is I'm gonna keep kind of mapping out some areas. Just some areas of different colored feathers, not a lot of detail. The eye is really the main theme or the focal point, as we would say in art. The feathers around the background, I'm probably going to actually kind of fade them to white and not color the whole page. And I'll show you that when I get to it. But I'm going to stop this, bring it back when I have more of the details of the eye and feathers drawn in with pencil before I transition to the colored pencil. Okay, so I've got everything kind of mapped out. I darkened my lines probably more than I would normally in hopes that you can see them in the video. But this is just a map, and again, the center of the eye is the most important part. These other areas look like continents on a map, are just areas where certain parts are white, with maybe a little bit of gray, and then certain parts of the owl's pattern are black, and certain parts are red. So I just kind of mapped it out so I know what to put in there. So I'm going to start with black and yellow and work on that focal point. And I'm not going to record this whole thing. I'll bring it back when I have more done. But one thing I just wanted to show real quick. Now I want this to be solid. It's not going to look good if I, color it in like that. I mean, I guess you could do, I like it to look dark. So I'm going to push hard. And similarly, like black is black. There aren't necessarily lighter and darker versions of it. I mean, lighter black is gray. But this yellow that makes up the iris, that, in my example, is a little bit darker towards the edge. So what I can do is after I kind of put this yellow in, I'll show you on one part, all the way to the edge where it kind of goes into the under the eyelid there where the feathers are. To make it look like the example is I'm going to take some orange. A couple different oranges here. And I'm going to kind of feather in a little bit of that at this edge where it goes under there. And then I'm going to kind of lighten it as I go away from that spot. I can even take a darker orange and go kind of right up in there like that. There. I think that's going to look really cool when I have this finished to do the other side. So I'm going to stop this and I'll bring it back when I have more of the eye done, and then we'll talk about what to do moving outward from the eye. Okay, I've got most of the eye done. It's actually upside down right now. But I just was going to show you quick that technique I used on the other edge of the iris. Want to maintain even pressure, so I keep kind of an even tone here with the yellow all the way to the edge. Change directions, go against that straight line. There. That's pretty good. Now, get that into that orange. This one, I don't know which one I used. I guess it was this one. Yeah. Let's put that this way. Feather away from that. Yeah. Alright, so I want it dark back here, and I want it to get lighter as it moves away. I'm going to go back in with some of this darker, right close to where it disappears, and darken it up there. There. That's right side up. That's pretty cool looking. Okay, so I'm going to stop this, and then we'll talk about feathers around the eye. Okay, I've got my owl eye sideways, and I've started to fill in with black some areas where there's dark feathers. And I noticed that if I just make some little jig-jags on the top of it, it's going to make it look like feathers on that white section. And so, like on here, I can just kind of pull these lines down off of that black. I mean, I could even kind of go like this a little bit. And that's going to really kind of give the effect that I'm looking for. I could go in with a little bit of gray in between the black and in places. And that's really going to look like what I want it to look like. Here, there's like a layer of kind of some whitish feathers, but there is a little bit of dark in there. So I'm just going to go and make some lines that kind of follow this iris around like that. And I could even go in with a little bit of gray and put a few lines in there. And that's with the black line and a little bit of gray, that's going to look like that layer of white feathers. Now up against that is some like brownish red feathers. So if I kind of layer in a little bit of this dark up against where the white feathers are, then I should be able to take like a dark red and a brown and kind of put this area in. Just kind of pulling these lines straight out like that. Let's do some red. And then I could do some that go sideways off of those in a few places. And that's going to really give me that effect that I'm looking for. I do the same thing with the brown and kind of put a few of those lines in that go kind of diagonally off the first lines that I drew, and that's going to really give the illusion of a feather. Could even work in a little orange in some places. So I'm going to stop this and bring it back when I have a little more of this done and show you the result. Okay, so I've got a little bit more of the feathers done. It's looking pretty good. I'm just going to show you quickly this technique that I used. I pulled these lines out with red and brown straight out, and then I would take the brown and just kind of try to find a brown line. You don't even really have to be on one, and make some diagonal lines that are kind of like hatching that will look like feathers. So I did that, do the same thing with the red, to just kind of fill up that space. Now I also can go in after I've done that and kind of just color in to kind of fill up the gaps in between all the lines I made with the red and with the brown. I can even go work it back into the white a little bit to make it look like those white feathers. And as an accent, I can take an orange and add a little bit kind of out near the tips of these feathers with some lighter feathers that might have a little bit of an orange color to them. And as I said, as I work my way away from the eye, I'm going to get less and less detailed and kind of faded away, because the eye really is the focal point of it. So I'll stop the video and come back when I have a little bit more done, and we'll wrap this up. Okay, so I've got quite a bit more done around the outside of the eye, and just to finish, as I get away here, I did more of these black feathers. I'm just going to leave that, and this bottom would leave, but up in here we have a section, and a little bit over here, which I'm not going to show because I've run out of paper, is this kind of mottled section, M-O-T-T-L-E-D, mottled. And that's where you have like black and tan and orange and white feathers kind of all together. And these are things that kind of help the owl be camouflage when it's out in the wild. Sometimes they're hard to spot, but the way I do this is just take a little bit of the tan and just kind of make some little marks, little scribble marks up in this area, following the direction that the feathers are kind of going. And then I'll take some orange and kind of put that next to and around them. And then in between those, I go in with a little black and put some of those same kind of marks going in the same direction with black. I like the way that looks. So I'm just going to finish off a little bit of that, and then it'll be done. Okay, so I did more of that up and around the kind of the eyebrow of the owl's eye and a little bit in this corner, and I'm happy with the way that looks. Sometimes drawings are neat that don't get colored all the way to the edge. It's like this is the middle and it kind of fades out. So I'm happy with that. It's kind of a neat way to approach a drawing. And as always, I'm going to sign it. Date with the new year, 2021. There it is. The owl eye, an enlargement of the owl's eye in colored pencil. Okay, hang in there, guys. We'll see you next time.